We be live!
Serving shaitan with a smile.
I'm never going to get tired of that.
Good.
So, guys, we're going to take a break from Andrew Tate because
Thank you.
Secular Rarity couldn't handle it anymore. I
It was getting
difficult.
It was getting tough. So you've picked something today that is much more educational. It's going to be very well sourced. It's going to be. So what are we watching today? I'm sure this is going to be super great.
Yes.
Yeah.
I brought somebody more worthy of your time. So
okay. All right. I'm excited.
Mohammed Hijab. We're doing Mohammed Hijab.
Okay. Look. Real quick. Just this is some housekeeping stuff. So you guys, you wonderful viewers get to see some of the behind the scenes stuff here. Okay. Armin, is there any way I can have any say in choosing these videos? Is that am I allowed to have any voice on this, or are you just you're just picking the videos that you know are going to cause me difficulties? Is that
the latter? Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's just as long as we all know where we're at. I want everybody on the same page so that all of our lovely viewers out there know what we're doing, what's happening here. So here we go. And I don't know. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And it's going to be more making excuses for child marriage. I know that's your favorite. So
that I feel like at this point in time, Armin, we just haven't heard enough reasons why child marriage is a good thing. So I'm glad. I'm glad that there are people out there who, obviously we're very much joking. It's very disgusting. Can't believe this is still on your platform, but.
Well, I mean, guys, we get every time I'm doing one of these shows, we get demonetized. So, but this is just too important for us not to do, and fun actually, because this is just too easy, right?
It is.
But it's important that we talk about this, even though YouTube doesn't let us monetize them. So I don't know how they're getting monetized.
I know it's super weird that the person actually advocating for the gross, disgusting thing is allowed to have a monetized video, but the people who are criticizing it and calling it out for its disgusting nature apparently get.
I think because we're not careful with our language, say like because they know they don't say they're making excuses for child marriage. They don't say that, right?
Right.
But when we say that, that's going to show up in the transcript, and YouTube is going to be like, making excuses for child marriage? Yeah, that's not. We can't monetize that. I think they're more careful with their vocabulary.
I do understand that, but I also feel like that just points to a larger problem, right? It's like that just seems like that's. I get it, and we can try and keep our language a little bit cleaner.
No,
but it's so tough because they're advocating for disgusting stuff, and it's like
they are.
Yeah, it's just that's okay. You know what? We keep as long as we're enjoying it, and people out there are having a good time. I say we keep doing it because apparently they keep doing it.
Maybe guys, just like the video at least, given that we're doing, and it's important to stand up to crap like this because you know something that people in our audience don't realize. They hear Andrew Tate, Mohammed Hijab, Ali Dava, Smile to Jannah making excuses for child marriage, and they're like, "What the hell? That is ridiculous."
Yep.
But what you're not saying is that it's not just their fans that are saying, "Yep, that makes a lot of sense." It's also a whole bunch of non-Muslims, new people who are being convinced by it.
Yeah.
That is happening. There are people who used to attack Islam for excusing child marriage, and now they are saying, "Okay, I see you guys have a point." It might sound it is stupid, but for some reason, it's having an effect. Right. They are actually. And to be fair, it's a whole bunch of conservatives, non-Muslims. That were like, these people have a point, right? So this thing is spreading. This thing is spreading. Like we went from trying to crush and destroy child marriage in, I don't know, the Middle East and North Africa to now having to be more worried about it in spreading, because the United States has child marriage.
Oh, lots
and we thought that we're going to move into into direction where that's going to be less and less and less. But no, I mean, these conservatives are finding each other and supporting each other, and they're quite united. Unlike the left, which constantly eats its own, these conservatives are backing each other more than ever before. Like, they are willing to put all their differences aside, not always, but more than the left. And I mean, you look at this, Muslims and Christians fought each other for more than 1,000 years, right? But now over this, they're like, you know what? Let's defeat the liberals over this.
Yep.
So
this and hate of the LGBT community has just apparently stopped 1,000 years worth of violence and hatred amongst these two groups. It's super disgusting.
Liberalism, trans stuff, LGBT, entire LGBT stuff, but mostly trans, child marriage, and also anti-Semitic views are things that are like, you know what? Let's kill each other at another time.
Yeah.
Today we have a bigger threat, which is liberalism, and it's working. Their cooperation is working, right? So we need to do something about this, people. And there are not that many people that are talking about this, and because there are actually, but the ones that are xenophobes, right? They're racist, bigoted xenophobes. So we don't have that many non-xenophobic content creators trying to address this. So the ones that you do find, and we're not saying we're the only ones, there are others, but when you find them, please support them by just liking and commenting and stuff and sharing and stuff like that. So anyways, let's get to the video. Very easy. Let's start with this video. Do you want to see the ad at the beginning, because they're raising money? Oh, actually, you know what?
Is it worth it?
Skip the ad.
Yeah.
Yes.
This one's worth it?
Because this time the ad is worth it, because maybe it's actually now it's relevant to what I'm saying. The ad is relevant to what I'm saying. Look at it. I like how he puts his name on top of a lion.
It's kind of cute. Yeah. It's nice.
It's so it shows how he sees himself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, Mohammed Hijab, very much. I guess you could call it high self-esteem. I think he sniffs his own farts. He is that high on himself, which I guess it's good to have self-esteem. Like, I'm not, crapping on him for that. But yeah anyway.
That's good. Lion of God.
Hey, are you wasting your time on social media again? Brothers and sisters in Islam.
What?
I just like the start, just instantly, like, knowing full and well that he's putting this out on YouTube. He's just like, hey, brothers and sisters, are you on YouTube again watching my content? Yes, we are. You know that. Like, you know for a fact we're doing that, but okay, man.
Okay. Oh, look at the URL. Okay, save Iman. No, save faith.
Islam Net from Norway. Wasting your time on social media again. Your brothers and sisters in Islam Net from Norway are establishing a masjid, a dawah center, establishing a masjid to convey the message.
Masjid means mosque, by the way, for people who don't know.
Message of Islam is one of the best deeds a Muslim can do. There's a huge need for it in Norway. You know this and I know this. So that makes the reward even greater. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal will give you even more.
So they're trying to spread Islam in Norway.
Right.
And they're doing it's not just a masjid, it's a dawah center. So they're trying to, I don't know if people understand the level of obsession that exists within certain people within the Muslim community about getting white people to convert to Islam, right? And to be fair, they're having a lot of success with it, especially a lot of young white conservative leaning men, especially with people like Andrew Tate and Sniko and other people giving Islam a chance. It's becoming easier and easier to see white men converting to Islam. So, and they love this. They love seeing white people convert to Islam. So they're raising money for it in Norway. And Norway, which is one of the most atheistic countries in the world, right? So it's they're gonna get such huge bragging rights when they go in such a. It's basically one of the countries where atheists use as an example of how great secularism, and also a country that has strong social safety nets and it's progressive and a good mix of capitalism, but like regulated capitalism with social safety nets and all that, and people's lack of faith, all of that. It's a place where people use as an example of liberalism succeeding. They do that mostly with Scandinavian countries. So for Muslims to be able to go to Norway and convert people to Islam over there, that would give them such high bragging rights. So it's amazing that that's the country that they pick. But yeah.
I just real quick, just because I wanted to know, I just looked this up, and Islam is actually the second largest religion in Norway after Christianity. Isn't that interesting? But
I mean, well, what would it be if it wasn't Islam?
Well, so here's the fun thing, though. Here's what I think is really interesting is Islam is considered the second largest religion. And as of 2021, that accounted for 3.1% of the over 5.5 million population. So it's the second largest, but it's still an incredibly small, and literally 55% of Muslims in Norway apparently live in 2 cities. So that's pretty interesting.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what I would have guessed, because if you ask me what would be the second, I would be, well, first obviously it's Christianity. What would be the second? It's not going to be Judaism. It's not going to be Hinduism. So it's going to leave Islam.
Yeah. That probably does just make sense. Yeah, that's straight up. Yeah. What else would there be?
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, that's good. So, hey. And there already are, like, just so you know, I looked it up too. There are a good handful of masjids in Norway already. So I don't know that Norway needs it.
Why? Dear Muslims, Norway has pretty decent enough masjids or mosques, right?
Yeah. More than enough to cover the population of Muslims, I think.
I'm sure if you want to focus on Muslims, your money would be spent go a longer way in Yemen.
Yeah.
I heard people in Yemen be Muslim. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, and I heard not just their mosques, but their hospitals and their schools were bombed. Right, and they might need your money for rebuilding those things.
Oh my gosh,
more than Muslims in Norway.
That's a really good point. And what about, isn't there, gosh, I could be wrong on this, but isn't there a group of Muslims in like Western China that have had a really bad time lately? No. Oh my gosh, the Uyghurs. Yeah. That would be a much better. Wow, much better. Oh yeah, and Syria. Yeah. And lots of other places too. But hey, at least the Muslims, like the Christians, will gather a bunch of money and then do absolutely nothing of value with it. So I guess that's good. But
yeah, I mean, to be fair, from an Islamic perspective, okay, this is more important a mosque in Norway.
Sure, I just think
do you know why it makes more sense?
Tell it.
Okay, because a Yemeni going through, like a Yemeni mother watching her child die from starvation, right? And another child dying from disease, they're fine because they are Muslim and they're going to go to heaven.
Sure.
So they're going to have a short, temporary, struggle and hardship, but they'll be fine. God will take care of them. But that non-Muslim in Norway, they might be living a comfortable life, but they're going to die non-Muslim. And they're not going to be fine for eternity. So which one would you rather donate to? Do you want to save the temporary life of a Muslim now, or an eternal life, save somebody from eternal damnation? Obviously, you have to invest in Norway.
the second
Obviously.
one. I mean, clearly,
The
right?
one.
Yeah, that's a really good encapsulation of just how twisted your morals become when you accept a religion like this, when you accept this garbage ideology.
I mean, it makes rational sense if that's true. Like I would be like, why would I? Yeah,
right.
I mean, if I was a Muslim, I would be like, obviously Norway would take priority. Like I have to save, I have to bringing people to Islam. It's more of a priority than saving people's, life in this life. This is a temporary life, right? Yeah,
man,
that's what I would.
Yeah. Well, on that note, let's see what else he's got to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, D is saying, starvation is just a test from Allah. Yeah, exactly.
That's right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys doing? Nowadays, in the so-called manosphere space, you have a woman, in fact, called Pearl Davis, who has a channel called JustPearlyThings, which she criticizes women in relationships and does all these kind of things. And recently on Twitter, where I saw some of her interactions, she was stepping out of line, misbehaving, I have to say, when she was asking questions about the Prophet Muhammad SAW in a pejorative manner, using, did he screw a 9-year-old and he date this one and do that?
So these are the tweets that JustPearlyThings or Pearl Davis has posted. One of it was, she posted tweets regarding Muhammad marrying Aisha at a very young age, right? So this is her first tweet. She said, others are saying it is okay he screwed a 9-year-old because it was a different time. Okay, I could get maybe 13 or 12, but 9? So that was one of her tweets. So by the way, this is also really bad. That
still very terrible. Yeah,
she could get 13 and 12. She gets it.
Still horrible.
Like you will understand. Yeah. She understands it.
Yeah.
And then another tweet, she says, did Muhammad date a 9-year-old or not? Why is everyone arguing about this? He either did or he didn't. So I think the main thing that pissed off a lot of Muslims is the screwed word over there she used.
It just sounds a little crass, I guess you could
disrespectful say. About Muhammad.
Yes. Okay, change it to have intercourse with. It's still just as bad, right? Like,
it's amazing how the wording.
Yeah, that's the problem, not the action. Like, what?
It's amazing that the Muslims who are offended by this are more offended about the word that you're using rather than the action that has taken place, because that is okay. But you have to describe the intercourse that my prophet had with a 9-year-old more respectfully.
Right.
Be more respectful describing the intercourse that he has with a 9-year-old. That's like, what?
So weird. So weird. And also, like, can we talk about the way Mohammed Hijab opened this video? He's, well, in the manosphere space, there's a girl. Oh, she's stepping out of line. She's misbehaving, Armin. Oh, I mean, it's just like layers thick of misogyny he's just throwing on, and it's just a weird way to start it out, man. It's just odd. It just makes you look like you're not very secure as a person, when the first thing that you have to do when criticizing somebody is just try to demean them for immutable characteristics like that. Like, to start off the conversation with, well, she's a girl. It just makes you look like you're not a very secure person in your adulthood. But hey,
to give some context, there's a disagreement between Mohammed Hijab and Daniel Hayraju in the Red Pill community. Right.
No.
So that, there used to be, at least I don't know if they're still there. So Daniel Hayraju has leaned in to the Red Pill community as a Muslim, and has seen a lot of overlaps between what Islam teaches and what the Red Pill community teaches.
Yeah.
So he sees it as a point of, an excuse for finding allies. Right. Mohammed Hijab is like, we don't need Red Pill. We have Muhammad. We don't.
Muhammad's the most red pill based MFer out there.
They're like, to be a proper man, why are we going and looking at what the Red Pill community is saying? We already have the ultimate guide, which is Muhammad. So that was the disagreement.
Could you? Isn't the color green like? Isn't that like normally associated with Islam? Am I wrong on that? Is green often associated? I was gonna say like green pill or something. Like come up with another instead of red pill. You know, like could we come up with something like?
It's green, red, and black with Islam, and also white. So it's
so that wouldn't.
And red also. So
because Mo pill doesn't sound good. You know, like oh man, I'm Mo pilled. It just anyway.
Gagin American saying, is Aisha 9 by the lunar calendar or the solar calendar? I actually did probably the lunar calendar. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
What am I even picking? Obviously the lunar.
But the lunar makes it worse, doesn't it? It's like, well, don't worry, she's not 9 by the calendars changed, Armin. You know, they were different back in the day, and it's like, well, yeah, she was younger. So that's
no. Wait a second, you're right. Oh crap.
Yeah. Oh, no. If she was 9 by the lunar calendar, she was definitely less than 9 years old. Like,
oh no.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Also, thank you so much, Cajun American, for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you. We always appreciate
that one.
So look how because the person behind the camera, they were like, wait a second, what was the like he's saying the words, and they are so shocked about the words that were used that even the person behind the camera like has to speak out. Like this
using, did he screw a 9-year-old and he date this one and do that one? She did say this. Believe me, let's continue. Trust me. She did say this.
That's just so fake.
Look. No, I think it's real.
She did say this. Believe me, let's continue. Trust me, she did say this. Screw, she used the word. I believe 100%. Believe it.
You think?
I promise you.
Okay. So it may be, but let me throw this out to you. You legitimately think that there was somebody in his circle close enough to be in his studio while he's filming that hadn't seen this tweet before?
Yeah, because
they probably talked about this for weeks. Like,
I mean, the people with it, like they come and they're just recording. I don't think like they are necessarily. I mean, I have people in my team that edit my videos and they're part of the atheist community, right?
Sure.
And I like say something on the show that has been going viral, and they were like, while they're editing, they messaged me and they're like, "Holy crap, what the hell?" I'm like, "Yeah, how did you know?"
Okay, but here's the difference. The difference is this is edited. This is something that he knew was going to be in the video, right? He knows this moment is now in the video. It's just some average Muslim standing off camera, Armin. This guy is so shocked and taken aback by this. That just proves that JustPearlyThings was really out of line. You know,
I don't know.
I know it's a bit conspiratorial, but I wanted to put it out.
Yeah. Also, I think I might be too naive, but I genuinely think that within their world, Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawa and Darin Hagaju think they're doing the right things. You know what I mean? So so I don't think like this level of dishonesty requires intention of being dishonest.
That's fair.
So I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't see them being dishonest in a way that they will be able to tell themselves that, okay, I was dishonest today. I think they need to be able. Yeah, I think they convince themselves that everything they're doing is good and
plausible deniability. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I like that. I like that point. I take that point.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just saying too much good in people. I don't know.
No, that's good. No, that's good. I'll take. Normally, we're flipped on that side, so that's good.
Maybe it's just that level of dishonesty is just so hard for me to imagine, and maybe it's just me that I can't imagine that. So I'm just assuming that people don't do that.
There's no way somebody could be that much of a dick, right? It's like, well,
yeah. I mean, like maybe I'm just being naive. I don't know.
She said it. Maybe she deleted it. I promise you, she said it. I know it's incredulous. She came out of her lane, but then I had to put her back in the lane, no problem.
I had to put her back in the lane. Like she came out of her lane. I need to put her back. Okay.
How does an adult say something like that in public, knowing other people will watch it, and feel like they're the good person in this scenario. Like, oh, she got out of her lane, bro. Somebody got to put her back, put her back in that lane. What?
Right.
What the hell? Who speaks like that, man? What are you trying to be, a Bond villain? Like, this is ridiculous, dude. Like, this is just stupid. You just sound like a child. It's just dumb. Put her back in her lane. Like, that's just, it's creepy. It's stupid, and it's just you threatening people. So it's like, it's illegal on top of the fact that it just makes you look like a weak child. Like, that's how you respond. Oh, you stepped out of your lane, bro. It's just, if somebody said that to me in person, I'd laugh so damn hard. Like, I'd cry. I'd just be like, because it's just stupid. It's just, he tries to be tough, Armin. He wants to be tough. He desperately wants people to think he's tough. Like,
that's his brand, though. That makes sense because that's his brand. Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. By the way, D is saying, has a good point. The cameraman not knowing what happened. D is saying maybe the cameraman wasn't wasting his time on social media.
That's right. He's a good Muslim giving money to that masjid in Norway because they need it, brothers.
Yeah. Also, Babak is saying Quran mentions nothing about Aisha. Scholars say married at age 6, consummated that night. No, Babak, it's not just the scholars' interpretation. It's part of authentic hadith. It's not just sahih hadith. It's mutawatir hadith. So it's a part of hadith that if you want to remove everything about how we know about the practice of Islam will go away. Everything about the practice of Islam will go away if you want to remove that part of hadith. The only thing that we would know about how to practice Islam would be women get, half of men in their
right.
That's in the inheritance. Women's testimony would be half of men in court. Okay. We would know that child marriage is okay.
Sweet.
Okay. We would know that taking women in war as sex slaves, even if they have husbands, is okay. And we would know wife beating is okay. But we wouldn't know much else. We wouldn't know how to pray. We wouldn't know how to go to the Hajj. We wouldn't know how to do the wuzu. We wouldn't know anything. Like the entirety, most of Islam will go away. So it's not just scholars. It is part of Islamic scripture, which is hadith. So this is a very hard thing for Muslims to resolve. Yeah. Like it's an embarrassing part of Islam, and they can't get rid of it because nothing would be left of Islam if you want to remove that source of Islamic scripture.
Aren't there? Oh no, go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask. Aren't there hadiths that are narrations from Aisha herself? Right? Aren't there? Aisha right, herself. Where she pretty much confirms this. Yeah. Pretty straight up.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Babak is mentioning is Bukhari and Muslim, Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, but it's not just that they're Sahih. Okay, so Sahih is like really high up, but these are also mutawatir. Like they are uneliminatable. Like there's nothing you could do. They are part of Islam. I mean, if Islam would be unrecognizable with removing this hadith.
Right. Yeah. Right. Because you'd have to pull out all the other ones too that fit that criteria, right?
There would be nothing left. There would be like, okay, if I can't trust hadith, then how do I know what to do anything? Like it's like here's how it works. Okay, Islam has 5 pillars, right? If you get rid of the hadith, 4 of the 5 pillars go.
That's not good. Yeah, that's not good. 80% of your religion shouldn't disappear. So that's not okay. All right. Well, it kind of sounds pretty critical to me. So
yeah.
And I think she regrets the situation, bro, because it enraged many people. And why would she do that? It's like shooting her own foot. It made no sense. But I want to say something to Pearl. I want to say something to you. The problem is this.
if you don't have a moral worldview which is well established, then the question will remain: from whence do you get your morality?
Okay.
Why does anyone need to listen to
Pause. So once again, folks, we Armin and I will say this as many times as we absolutely have to, okay, to get this across to people, because this is what the religious love to do. So what they like to do is they like to present you with something that is so clearly fucked up. And then when you go, hey, that sounds wrong, that just seems on its face like it might be a bad thing, their response is to question all of reality. If you are in a conversation where somebody is literally advocating for something like genocide, slavery, child marriage, you know, things like Mohammed Hijab does, and somewhere in the process of discussing with this person, as you guys are going back and forth and they're making points and you're making points, if somewhere in that conversation the person just goes like, yeah, but how do we even know reality is real? You can just walk away from that person knowing full and well they are delusional. If you have to go through that level of garbage and twisting to pretend as if your system is the foundation for all morality, that just shows how bankrupt your ideology is. The first thing he says to her, apparently, is, oh, well, Pearly, see, the problem is, see, you don't have a foundation for morals. So how do you say that there's a problem with my prophet having sex with a 9-year-old? If that's what you have to
You know
go
how
through,
I would tell? You know how I can tell that we have a decent foundation for morality? Do you know how I know that?
Because none of our conclusions involve screwing children.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good moment. That's a pretty good moment.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if our standards are the best, but if you're trying to compete with us,
I mean,
we don't advocate for screwing children, and you do. I think we got you win. I think we win. I think we win.
We can pack up and go home because seriously. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, right? That anybody in public would stand up and think that they're somehow getting the better of somebody else in a discussion about morals that results in them advocating once again for the disgusting acts that their prophet did. And saying like, oh, well, it's really not that big of a deal. In fact, we should bring it back. That's ridiculous. You can feel comfortable walking away from that discussion, folks, knowing that the person you're talking to has no understanding of what morality is. Like, that's the first thing he has to go to, Armin. That's so ridiculous.
But I also want to say this is good. Yeah. Because this is an admission of how everything is failing. All right. Because when more and more people are now recognizing this stance on Islam, they tried the old tricks that they had before the internet, which we all heard, like before more and more people having access to internet, because we grew up with these arguments, right? It was, I don't know, people matured back then a lot faster, which we did different, which is like no, that we know that's not true. People mature faster in heat. Like it's like you're baking people. I don't know how that. So that I haven't heard that. No, you haven't heard. That's I didn't hear the heat. I heard. Oh, you didn't hear that? That was the main one that we grew up with in school in Iran. Like, yeah, dude, it was just hot there. It's just so hot. Girls mature faster. So like, okay, and so many other things, so many other excuses, right? And they all fail so miserably, and they realize that, okay, now I'm more and more, and also even after social media, the discussion about Islam being bad was so taboo for a while that even with internet, people were not being exposed to this. Now that taboo is breaking apart, and more people are feeling it like it's not politically incorrect to say like, hey, isn't it doesn't Islam teach child marriage? Like, that's kind of messed up. It's becoming more acceptable to say that, and they are finding it difficult because the walls are closing in on them, and more people are talking about it. So none of these excuses are working. So they go like, well, how do you know what's good anyways? Right? You guys don't have God. So who are you to speak?
Can't make a decision one way or the other.
Yeah. So that shows like they're not going anymore. They're less of a focus on, hey, well, Muhammad do this and this is why it's okay. They're just like, okay, Muhammad did that, but we say it's okay, and we have Allah, and He tells us what's okay. What do you have? You have nothing. It's a sign of defeat. They just want to throw everything. It's kind of similar to like playing chess and seeing that you're losing, and just like,
exactly. Tossing the table, flipping it over so nobody gets to play anymore. Yeah.
They're like, wait, we're trying to beat you in this morality game, and you're just tossing over the table. Like, because you guys don't have any leg to stand on. Yeah.
Because it literally is. It's a thought-stopping technique. It's designed to stop the conversation, because unless you respond with essentially, I also have a God belief, then they won't accept your foundation, because they're coming from a presuppositionalist stance that the only foundation for morality is their deity. And so when they finally, when you push them back to a point where that's all they can say, they don't have anything. And so continuing to converse in that sense and trying to explain like, well, no, the foundation is there. It doesn't do anything, because they don't accept it. Their foundation either is their magic man or it's not. And so, and that's why it's just a worthless argument. It's just absolutely nothing. And it just, like you said, it shows that they don't have anything. They don't have anything. If you have to question all of reality in an argument, your argument probably sucks, bro. Think of a better one. Like,
I also, guys, this is the Achilles heel of Islam. I know Islam has worse teachings, but nothing shocks people more than this one. And some people say that you shouldn't go for it because it's a low-hanging fruit, but I say that's exactly why you should go for it. Why would you not go for a low-hanging fruit? It's low-hanging. Right? So it's their weakness. Go for it. What the hell? Anyways, let's go.
Any of your opinions. It's all subjective opinions anyway. As the Quran states, أَمْ لَهُمْ شُرَكَاءُ شَرَعُوا لَهُم مِّنَ الدِّينِ مَا لَمْ يَأْذَنْ بِهِ اللَّهُ. Do they have false gods that legislate for them that which God gave them no authority to legislate? In other words, morality on the Islamic paradigm comes from the all-knowing, the all-wise, the all-high, the all-powerful Allah, the creator of the...
Think about what he's saying. He's saying screwing children is okay. Why? Because Allah decides. That's what he's saying. He's not making excuses for it. He's not saying this didn't happen. There's no hadith about this. This is like, that's how you know what's moral. Guys, he's telling you why. This is exactly why religion is harmful. Because of the divine command theory. Because what is being decided as the way to judge what is right is what Allah says. Is if Allah tells you to cut off your son's head, that will become, by definition, that would be the right thing to do.
Yes.
And that's what he's saying. He's like, it's Allah. What do you want us to say? Allah has decided that it's okay, and everything, including screwing children, would be okay if Allah says so. That's what he's saying.
And you're exactly right. Divine command theory, at the end of the day, is my thing is right because it's bigger and better than yours. That is a worthless reason. Okay. That is absolutely worthless. Now, what will happen is when you say this to somebody who's particularly devout, they'll probably say something along the lines of like, well, don't worry, Armin. See, you don't understand. See, my God wouldn't do that. See, he wouldn't advocate for genocide or slavery like you're talking about. But there is no justification for that. There is no justification found in the Quran. There is no justification found in the Torah. There is nothing in the Christian Bible. In every single one of those, we have instances of this deity doing the most atrocious things that it outright says are against its nature. So if that's true, you have no reason to accept that God tomorrow won't tell you to start killing children. So, yeah.
I mean, he already has.
He already had, right. He did in the past, and there's no reason to believe that he won't do it again in the future. So yeah, it's just completely bankrupt.
For Muslims, his last message is the Quran anyways. And you just use that forever.
Yeah,
so
but
he already yeah.
Can you not talk directly with Allah as a Muslim? Can you not speak with?
It's one way.
So okay, but Allah can send you a message, right?
No. Oh my God.
Really?
That would claiming that will get you killed. Because if you speak to Allah, you're praying. If Allah speaks to you, you're a prophet.
Interesting.
And if you claim prophethood, you're claiming that Muhammad was not the last prophet.
Interesting. That's real. I didn't realize it was. I didn't realize it was so stark of a contrast there.
Oh yeah,
a lot of Christians will.
Oh no! If you claim Allah speaks to you, that's punishable by death.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I can see that because there are a lot of Christians who say God like talks to them in this similar way that he talked to Elijah, but they don't consider that prophethood necessarily.
Allah can give you signs, but he won't speak to you.
He won't speak to you. Oh, wow. That's really interesting. You and I will have to talk about that and break that shit down. That's very interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Signs, yes. Speaking, that's a prophet. Okay. And Muhammad was the last prophet. Interesting.
Yeah. That I might have a good argument from that then, but that's for a different time. But yeah. He starts off with your moral foundation is bankrupt, which is stupid, and he goes into my God's big and better, so he'll beat you up.
Yeah.
Like great.
Yeah. I like these moments the things that because you say things that you know with Christianity, and I know I have a background in Islam, and I just love how we don't notice how things that we grew up with that seemed obvious from a Christian perspective,
or from
an Islamic perspective,
it's
kind of interesting and new to the other side.
Oh, it's totally, yeah. Like that thought to me is like, oh my gosh, I remember people all the time getting messages from God. That's just ridiculous. But that's really fascinating. But
I think more Muslims are now familiar. More Muslims and ex-Muslims are familiar with Christian world than Christians and ex-Christians are familiar with the Islamic.
Oh yeah. I think that's very true.
Because how dominant Christianity is in the world, right? And how Christian countries are. But I remember when we weren't so familiar with, we had moments like this, especially with the original. I mean, I at least had it with the original sin. That seemed like so bizarre.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's in all of us. There's nothing we can do. It's all because Eve and that apple. Shame.
No. Okay. All right. Let's watch this.
The heavens and the earth, the wise one, the knowledgeable one, the one who created me, the one who created you. No one else can tell me what to do in an absolute way. لا طاعة لمخلوق, the Prophet ﷺ said. There is no obedience.
By the way, when he goes Arabic, this is this is for bragging reasons. It helps with, I don't know if that's the intention, but it helps with that, right? So if you can drop verses of Quran, and people judge like they are Muslims, if you make mistakes, if you pronounce a vowel wrong, there are people that will come and it will be a bloodbath, right? So if you claim to be good, knowledgeable with Islam, and can't just drop Quranic verses on memory and be accurate about it, relevant Quranic verses here and there, you're not people will question your credibility, right? But you also, here's the thing, people that Muslims that come from Arab speaking countries have a major advantage over Muslims who don't come from Arab speaking countries, right? So if you have a background if you come from Egypt, right? So your family, everybody speaks Arabic. But if you come from Pakistan, then you're a bit behind from everybody else. That's just like, or Turkey, that's just their mother language, right? So Mohammed Hijab, like dropping Quranic verses and mentioning it in Arabic, that's like a way to improve his credibility among his Muslim audience.
Is it still the common narrative that the Arabic is the only real true version, and that the English version?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's still a big thing. Okay,
yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that had slipped in popularity or not. But.
Oh my God, no! Of course, so much so that I can't touch the Arabic word of the Quran. If I want to touch it, I have to have wuzu on. I have to have been purified myself with the Islamic washing. Sure. But the English, no, I can touch the English.
That's so silly, though. That's so dumb. Like, right?
That's not the word of God. That's an interpretation. That's not the word of God. That's an interpretation of the word of God. That's not the direct
ridiculous. Thing. You can't even touch it. But just grab the English one and just put your hand all over it. No worries. No one cares about. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine Allah looking down and just being like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, dude, what do you touch? Oh no, it's English. Oh, okay, you're good. You're good."
It gets worse. It gets worse. You want to talk about Allah worrying about things? So you know what wuzu is, right? Wuzu is like, so you put, you put the Islamic washing thing, and now you have wuzu on. You're Islamically purified, okay?
Right.
However, if you fart, it goes away.
No way. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And you have to go do it again to make sure you're purified. The smallest amount of air, just like a smallest amount of air leaving your butthole will mean that your wuzu is not on anymore. And you have to go get the wuzu back on. So imagine you're touching the Quran and you had wuzu, but you farted, and now you're touching it. Allah is watching. And I'm like, don't touch my words. You farted. So the creator of all the galaxies is like, is writing down your sin because you touched his word, because you farted after you had the wuzu on. You just, the amount of air that left your asshole means that you cannot touch God's words anymore. That's how it works. That's literally how it works.
I love that. And I really hope one day I can see some scholar or devout Muslim getting ready to read the Quran and then just abruptly turning around and walking away quietly. And then everybody just being like, oh, I think he farted. Oh, he probably farted. Yeah, it smells pretty bad. He probably farted. He's got to go, dude. Like, oh my gosh, that is just so stupid, Armin. That is just so stupid on so many levels.
People in the live chat are saying that how they hated they hated that rule. You know why that rule is something that causes a lot of trouble? Because you put because before praying you also have to have the wuzu on. You cannot pray without having the wuzu on. So imagine you do the wuzu and you're gonna go pray, and now you have a fart, or you need to also, if you pee, even if the smallest amount of drop leaves your pee, that means you need to wuzu again. But you want to pray, you really have to pee or fart. But if you do that, you have to go do the wuzu again. So you're like, should I do my prayer and then pee, or pee and do the wuzu and then again and then pray? So a lot of times you're praying and you're regretting your decision because you really have to go, or you really have to fart, and like, God damn it, I should have peed and then done the wuzu again and then prayed, and you're just holding it as it's a mess.
I just like the thought of like this guy in a mosque just like constantly, doing the wuzu, and they're like, wow, that guy's really devout, and he's like, no, he ate a lot of beans last night. It's a real gassy day today. He's just really screwed. Like,
no. So Lucifer is asking, how would people know if you farted if it's silent? It's not about other people. Allah can tell that your entire prayer, I mean, you're praying because you want to make sure that you're right with Allah. So if you pray and you don't have your wuzu on, then what's the point? Like, you're not, your prayer doesn't count.
And in fairness, I just want to say, I think this is why people are leaving Christianity is because those weak Christians have a God that allows you to fart while talking to him. And I just feel like, that clearly shows the strength of Islam, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I love that. That's probably the greatest thing I'm going to learn all week. Like, I didn't know that, and I am so much better off for knowing it now. So thank you very much.
This is your religion, people. Muslims, this is your religion. The creator of all the galaxies is paying close attention to your asshole and the amount of air that is coming out of it before you pray. Okay, that's your religion. I hope you're proud of that. All right.
Way. لا طاعة لمخلوق, the Prophet ﷺ said. There is no obedience to the creation في معصية الخالق, in the disobedience to the creator. That's Islam. That is submission. That is the religion of Islam. And she was asking questions, and she wants to do a panel and these kinds of things. She invited me to the panel and stuff. I'm not interested. I've done many debates. I've done the biggest debates between Muslims and Christians,
and you've been caught lying.
in terms of viewership.
And you've been caught lying, Mohammed Hijab. It's been demonstrated that you actively lie and misrepresent things on a consistent, regular basis. Many people have pointed this out. It's well known. So, I mean, good for you for doing the debates, though. I guess that's something. But
I'm glad actually that you remember that. That's good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I forgot to. I would have forgotten to mention that. Good.
Mm-hmm. The modern period. For example, the debate between me and David Wood in 2018, which has garnered millions and millions of views across different languages. You can watch that debate if you want to know what the Muslim says and then see how the Christian responds and what the Christian says and how the Muslim responds on things. I may add on things. Pearly, listen to me. Pearly, are you listening? You have to listen.
Fuzz. Holy crap. Like, he knows he's speaking into a microphone right now, Armin. He knows there's not a Zoom call going on, right? So then ask yourself, why would somebody do that? Why would somebody go through the effort to speak like that to an empty room? Oh, maybe it's because he's a performer acting like he knows what he's talking about and he's strong in his adulthood. Like, maybe that's the reason. Maybe the reason is because at the end of the day, he doesn't even take himself seriously. So he has to really put out a strong, forceful yell to make sure that woman, that girl that stepped out of line, Armin, she's got to be put in her place by me, the big, strong man. It's just so stupid. Like, he edited this video.
Yeah. But maybe he's just very confident that Pearly's going to watch this.
What? Why? Why would she?
Well, because he's. Well, I mean, Mohammed Hijab is a big content creator, and
he gets
millions
like of views. That's right.
Yeah. So
big deal.
I mean, he's at Pearly's level. I would think like maybe even higher. Let me see.
Maybe. Yeah.
So
I'm really not sure how many followers or anything she had, but
no, I do think like if Mohammed Hijab makes a video about just Pearly things, Pearly would.
You think she'd watch it?
Yeah. Hold on. So
350.
Mohammed Hijab. Okay, so just Pearly is So Mohammed Hijab is just short of 1 million subscribers. Okay. Almost 900,000. Just Pearly things is 1.5 million. So just Pearly thing is 1 billion. So I do think, and I have. Here's the thing. Here's maybe one reason that she did watch it. Look at this. So Prophet posted this. So this is just Pearly things. Like she posted this on Twitter. She said, "Hey guys, I've been thinking about it, and I should have been more respectful when asking questions about Islam. Never meant to disrespect anyone by it. Not my best moment. Won't do it again."
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So the pressure worked. The pressure from the Muslim community worked.
It's ridiculous. You're apologizing for asking a question that is a well-known fact in this system, in this belief system.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. I mean, Pearly and I don't agree on a lot of stuff. Most everything.
Really?
Yeah, I know, surprisingly. No. I didn't know about her until this whole thing. And then I found out she's, advocating for why women shouldn't vote on Piers Morgan and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't agree with that. But yeah, you shouldn't apologize for this. It wasn't your best moment for asking a question. Come on.
Well, I mean, I don't understand what the disrespect, the disrespectful part, the part that you should is screwing a 9-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't understand. Like, if I was like, hey, this guy, I don't know, you might know him. His name is Adolf. He committed genocide. And in my description of what he did, I was a bit rude. And I know he still has a lot of fans. Mm-hmm. And I should have been more respectful about how I describe what he did.
I'd hate to disrespect,
did. I would hate to disrespect. Like, what are you talking about? You hate to disrespect. You're talking about having sex with children.
You're talking about disrespectful actions that people are advocating for. Like,
that does not deserve respect. That does not deserve respect. Oh my gosh. I don't understand. Okay.
Yeah.
But look, the pressure, I mean, the fact that he thinks that Pearly would be watching or would be influenced by
it is.
I mean, they have power. This is why, guys, and these are the right-leaning people that were acting for so many years. For so many years, these right-leaning people were acting like they're the wall between Islam and the Western world.
Oh my gosh.
And we were like, guys, and some atheists bought into that. Some atheists were like, you know what? Christianity and republicanism or all the other conservative stuff, they might be nonsense, but Islam is such a danger. And they're the only wall. They're the only guards, the only people that are guarding this wall. So, and some people are like, let's defend Christianity, even though it's nonsense. I'm like, you guys don't know what you're doing. This is not an effective way. Liberalism has proved to be the best wall against this nonsense. Why are you giving up on that? And they were like, we're giving up on it because they saw some woke stuff and were like, they gave up on liberalism because some people went too far by their standards.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, let's give up these standards and these values that have
give up all the progress we've made. Right.
All the progress that we made in like 100 years, the fastest progress that humanity has ever made when it comes to rights and freedoms. Let's give up all of that because some people were canceling that speaker at that university. Yeah. Let's give up on liberalism and go with Christianity because Islam is coming for us. Okay, sure. Anyways, see what's happening now?
Yeah.
Not working out well, isn't it? Now they're best buddies.
We tried to tell y'all, but whatever.
Yeah.
You have to listen to me on things which have creedal disproving implications. Now, this is an important key term. The question that you're bringing forward about the marriages, what's legitimate marriage and what's not legitimate marriage, the Prophet ﷺ and all those kind of things, it doesn't have creedal disproving implications in the sense that the answer to this question, when the Prophet...
Before he says this, let's just notice how he says sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay? Because he's supposed to say sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay? But this is so tiresome on saying peace be upon him that the way they say it is like Muhammad. It's like I don't know how to translate this to English. Like they don't say it.
They don't actually say the whole words.
It's like Muhammad. I don't know how to say. I don't know if there's going to be equivalent for it in English, but it's like sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They have reduced it as because it's just such a. It's so annoying to have to say it all the time. Every time you say
very
Muhammad,
ridiculous. Right? It's very
ridiculous. They have reduced it to something that is not the actual thing that you have to say. So like
what's legitimate marriage and what's not legitimate marriage, the Prophet ﷺ and all those kind of things. They're not saying it doesn't have creedal disproving implications in the sense that the answer to this question, when the Prophet ﷺ got married to whomever, doesn't answer whether Islam is true or not. Because you don't have an objective morality that you can prove.
Okay.
Outside.
Hang on. First off, what was the term he used? Creedal disproving disposition. What was this stupid term that he wanted to throw around? To make it sound as if he's saying anything of value. Just in case anybody's confused, what he's saying is the thing you're asking about doesn't disprove my belief. Yeah, you're correct, Mohammed Hijab. Could you, though, answer the question real quick for me, though? Could you just real quick? You're right. Whether or not Muhammad screwed a 9-year-old doesn't have anything to do with whether or not Islam is true. But could you just, for my benefit, could you just tell me whether or not he did? And then could you follow that up with an answer to the question, is Muhammad still considered the best model for people to live by for all time? Because if the answer to both of those is yes, your religion is disgusting. Whether or not it's true, it doesn't even matter. Right. It doesn't even matter right there, because you are advocating for a system that is at its core gross.
Exactly.
And again, question all of reality if you want to, but I can tell you, when I step on a thumbtack, it hurts, and harm is bad. I don't like that. Other people don't like that. Hey, guess what causes a lot of freaking harm, Mohammed Hijab? Yeah, the thing your prophet did. So, again, maybe it doesn't disprove Islam, but it really puts a nail in the coffin, in my opinion, because, it's disgusting and you're advocating for it. So,
it just shows how they're trying to change the conversation. We're like, okay, Muhammad did this. That's disgusting. You're like, well, morality, objective morality, you don't have that. And like, also, this doesn't prove Islam wrong. And like, okay, are you so desperately trying to take the attention away from what we're actually discussing? It's I don't know, it's so childish. It's like, I don't know, like two children having a conversation and one of them being embarrassed, or like, well, my dad is taller than your dad. Like, okay.
Exactly.
Like, what?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
What just happened?
It is exactly like imagine having a conversation with somebody where they're like, oh no, this TV show is better than that TV show. And then you're like, well, I don't think so. And then they're like, yeah, but like, what's your objective foundation for all of television? Because if you don't know the foundation for all of, media, then you can't make a determination. It's like, dude, that is just so ridiculous. Like, that is just so ridiculous. Yeah. Like, I'm so sorry that you live in that world, bro, but
that's the argument. You can't, they're so, they have been so defeated in trying to defend their position that they're just trying to take away their right for you to even have an opinion.
Right? Exactly.
Like, you don't have God, so you can't even have a morality. So just shut up, because that's the only defense that has been left for them.
Yep. Because the rest of them result in them having to admit,
that they prophet screw a 9-year-old. Yeah.
Side of the Islamic framework. John Mackey writes a book called Ethics, in fact, and he says this himself. He's an atheist, and this is one of the masterpieces, the magnum opuses of the philosophical world in the Western tradition. And at the end of that book,
What book? What book is he claiming is like the foundation of Western philosophical thought? Hang on a second here.
You know why they do this? Because they are looking at everything through an Abrahamic perspective, right? Through a religious perspective. So for us, when we are criticizing religion, Islam or Christianity, everything that they have is based on their prophets and their books. So no matter what philosophical gymnastics they play and try to add to their religion, at the end of the day, because Islam can be reduced to the teachings of the Quran and Hadith, no matter how many good Muslims are there, no matter how many Muslims with good position and valuable work we could point to, which there are a lot of good Muslims and Muslims that have contributed a lot to society. At the end of the day, that's not how Islam is defined. Right. Islam is not defined as what Muslims do. The teaching of Islam are defined as what the Quran and the Hadith teaches. Right. So it makes it very difficult for somebody who's defending Islam to point, because if it was the actions of Muslims, they would be so easy. Like, look at all these amazing Muslims doing good things. But our job is so easy because, like, okay, well, that's just them doing good things.
Right.
That's not the teaching of your religion or Christianity, right? So they don't have that with us, right? So if we come and say, well, we think this is the best way to figure out what's right and wrong, we are, we don't have a book that if it's wrong, you could be like, well, your book has these flaws, because we constantly reevaluate and change things based on what is needed. And we don't have prophets who have done horrible things that we see as an absolute guide, that they could be like, well, your prophet did that, and so screw you and screw your ideology. Because even if we do agree with someone's philosophy, if they did something horrible, it's easy for us to say, like, well, fuck that, we don't agree with that, right? But they are trying to reduce the liberal world, the ideology from liberal world, to something like their own, so it's an easier target. They're like, to their audience, they're like, there are certain books that they try to make it seem like that's our Quran. Or like, for example, the Enlightenment thinkers. So for example, one favorite thing for them to do is, because they say liberalism is founded upon the work of these thinkers, and they're like, well, they had slaves. They go to that, and they go like, well, they also said this. And like, look, these liberals, which these are their prophets, these are their saints. Well, let's go and check what they did. But and their audience loves that, because they think that if we are attacking their prophet, well, that's our prophet. Yeah. And our prophet had slaves, or but it doesn't work like that, because we don't have prophets. Like, if they had slaves, well, fuck them for having slaves.
Right. The rest of their stuff that was really good, we can take those ideas and put them into practice, and then we can cut off the rest of it. Whereas you really can't do that with Islam. That's not.
They're not holy for us. Right. They're not holy. We can. The difference is that we can pick and choose. You can't. You can say, Muhammad did these things that I like, but over there, I don't like that very much. I'm not going to follow that. You can't do that, but we can. We can read a book and I'm like, well, that's fucked up. We're like, we don't like that. But over here, we like this part. That like this part. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Or we like this part, but it's not complete. We like to improve upon it. We can do that. You can't. Yeah. So great job pretending like he can do. Like, let's see what he's doing
himself. He says this himself. He's an atheist, and this is one of the masterpieces, the magnum opuses of the philosophical world in the Western tradition. And at the end of that book, he himself says, and I'm paraphrasing from what I remember, he says something to the effect of that you can't really know what objective morality is anyway unless you have a list from God. Now, we claim to have that list from God.
First of all, you claim it, which is nonsense. Okay. And we have seen where that gets you. It gets you to screwing children. So no, thank you. Also, I don't know, trying to reduce the result, like all the ideology, the philosophy of the Western world and the morality to a book. Like, you go and find one book and their conclusion from, I don't know where you're looking it up. Secular Rarity. What do you?
I'm trying. Because I feel like, and again, in part, one of the reasons I feel like this is because he's been caught outright lying about what's in books that he claims he's read. But I just really feel like that sentence doesn't make any sense for an individual who spent their entire lives as somebody who was very much focused on ethics and values and stuff. And so I don't even know if it's possible to find this, but I can tell you, if you go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing that he doesn't cite more important books that people like. This book doesn't seem as foundational as the work in morality as somebody like John Stuart Mill work on morality and utilitarianism, right? Because I mean, you could go find a Western philosophical thinker that thinks that, I don't know, you can't get to objective morality, which, again, this is an assumption that we need objective morality to have a good standard of morality. Even if somebody comes to the conclusion that, without God, we can't get to objective morality. Okay, so what? we have shown that with a subjective moral standards, we are able to approve the well-being of humanity.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's not objective, it's going to give us the ability to constantly improve upon it. I mean, at the end of the day, the goal is to improve the well-being of society, and your objective morality is not getting us there. So I don't even know where you come up with this pre-assumption that is necessarily a good thing. But also, people have other thinkers within Western philosophical thought have come up with complete moral structures that work without a God. And again, whether or not you call it objective or subjective depends on what framework you're looking at it. Are you talking about morality being objective from the point of view of the universe? Because if you're meaning that, then no, we don't have objective morality. But if you're talking about objective morality in the sense of once we define a goal, which is increasing the well-being of a society, there are objectively better ways at getting there, then yes, we do have objective morality. So again, you have to explain what you mean by objective. And we have shown, it's amazing that you mentioned somebody that we don't know who you're talking about, but somebody more famous like John Stuart Mill and his work on morality, you don't mention that because you know that they have effectively shown that without God and without objective morality, you could create perfectly working moral structures. Yeah, go on.
So just because this is really interesting, and this isn't, just in case anybody out there wants to say like, oh, you just slammed him, like you showed he was wrong. This does not actually prove that he's incorrect. But I would like to say, because of the fact that J.L. Mackey's Ethics, Inventing Right and Wrong was published back in 1977, with a little bit of work, I was able to actually find a full copy of the book online. It's through like a class website or something. And the last paragraph, again, not to say that was where Mohammed Hijab said he wasn't quoting verbatim, that he was doing it from memory, but he did make it sound like it was very close to the end. And this last paragraph does not say anything close to what Mohammed Hijab was saying. It is the exact opposite. In fact, Mohammed Hijab basically claims that this guy said the only way to have morality is to actually have objective lists from God. But in fact, it straight up says, for in the end, we are all in the same position as locks, outlaws, and thieves with no innate principles to guide us. So it literally is the exact opposite of what he's claiming, which again, maybe there's somewhere else in this book, but that statement sounded so counter to what would make sense to me that I just had to look it up. Like I just had to try.
My guess is that the guy is saying that we don't have objective morality, but he's not suggesting that we need objective morality. That's what I'm going to guess.
Yeah. Right. It's just not at all what Hijab was trying to make it sound like. And I just, again, maybe it's somewhere else, but yeah. But doesn't seem
but here's the thing. If you want to see what's foundational when it comes to moral systems, right? The best one that people cite without religion is utilitarianism.
Yeah,
right? So
I know.
The moral systems that we have is like divine command theory, which is what the religious people offer. You have virtue ethics. You have deontology, they're all stupid, by the way, virtue ethics and deontology. And you have utilitarianism. And you have act utilitarianism and you have rule utilitarianism, right? So, and that's has been shown over and over again that is the one that makes the most sense, right? And if you want to be honest about that, you could just this is what I did. I went and if you go to the history of utilitarianism, right? So if this is the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, exactly the person I mentioned, if you look at the origins of it, the main two people are Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. So these are the foundational people when it comes to the people that have done the work that is the foundation of utilitarianism. And again, their works are flawed. Right. But if you want to judge the foundations, this is what you want to go judge. Right. But the thing is that the works are flawed, but people didn't stop there. Right. They continued. So you could actually read all up on this and be actually know what you're talking about before you come here and say something so biased.
But he's already, but don't you remember that debate with Cosmic Skeptic? Mohammed Hijab has read that book, you know, he read it all. And that was why he got the name of the chapter completely wrong and then just completely ignored correcting it. So,
yes, exactly. Yeah. Anyways, let's continue.
Yeah.
And our conception of God is crystal clear, which is why many people are becoming Muslim, because when they think about Islam, they think about one God, not a man with a date of birth who was a child and came out of a womb and was in the belly of a woman.
Yeah.
Yes? This can.
He thinks this is a selling point. The fact that it's simple, the simplicity of their God, that's a selling point.
Can I could be wrong on this, but I thought in the past there was some beautiful, beautiful blasphemous art that shows Allah depicted as he is in the Quran. Would you say that that is a clear description of a God, Armin?
That's a very good point, because the way God is described and defined in Islam has been a major source of conflict.
Yeah.
Because the Quran talks about the hand of God and God sitting somewhere specific, one leg, having two right hands. It's kind of it looks like a weird, it's a freak. Yeah, it's weird. No, but like if you have to put different verses together, but the fact that there's a hand of God in the Quran, right? So a lot of that there has been a major source of disagreement among Islamic scholars, because you are told that you have to accept Quran because Quran says itself that it comes in clear language and you have to take it the way it is. So if the Quran says the hand of God, some Muslims are saying so God must have a literal hand, and many Muslims don't know about it. By the way, this is something very something that the vast majority of Muslims have no idea, that this has been a major tension between scholars throughout Islamic history. So a lot of Muslims say like it's complete kufr, it's complete blasphemy to say God has a literal hand. But there are some other scholars that are like, well, the Quran says it has a hand, so it has to have a literal hand. We are forced to believe exactly what the Quran teaches. So they believe like Allah has a hand, as in like literally a limb, because that's what the Quran teaches. And then the people are like, well, if he has a hand, like that's physical. How could Allah have a literal hand? And you know what the answer of those Muslims are who say that Allah has a hand, but Allah is also can't be physical and be material? Do you know?
Please
do you know how they? The answer is you don't think about it.
Oh, duh. Okay. Yeah, I mean, duh. Right, of course.
The answer is that you just accept it without thinking. That's the
Allah knows
literal
best.
answer that they give.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well. I just thought that was interesting, since apparently, Hijab here thinks that there's a crystal clear view of what Allah is. So.
Oh, there's so much more disagreements. Like the whole, you know what? The first Inquisition in Islamic history, was done over the nature of God in Islam. So they act like, oh my God, Christianity. Who likes Christianity? Allah is a man and he's a father and he's like a pigeon or a ghost. It's like he's 3 and 1 at the same time. Islam, one God. Simple. Just come and accept it. Crystal clear, right? It's not. So the whole oneness of God brings you to the conclusion that there is only one uncreated thing, right? Everything is either a creation or God, right? So if you are uncreated, you're God. Right. Uncreated is divine, right?
Yeah, I'm following you.
Yes. The Quran, the actual current Islamic teaching is that the Quran is the uncreated word of Allah. Okay? So There are a people at some point that said that can't be right, because now we have two things that are divine. There are two things that are uncreated. And the main teaching in Islam is Tawheed, which is the oneness of Allah, the oneness of divine entity. So they were saying the Quran can't be the uncreated word of Allah. The Quran, the word of God, should be a creation of Allah as well, because the only uncreated thing is Allah himself, not his word. And they were wiped out, by the way. That was the first Inquisition in Islamic history.
Doesn't the Quran say that it's the uncreated word of Allah? Doesn't the Quran say that? Or
it doesn't specifically say
doesn't
that.
okay.
So
it's just tradition and stuff. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not that. It's not. And right now, that is the current position in Islam. The official position is the Quran is the uncreated word of God. So does that contradict the main principle of Islam, which is Tawheed, which is wonderful? It seems like it does. So it's not as simple as he's claiming it is. So
it doesn't seem very cut and dry.
No. There are people who have died for this disagreement. Many of them. Yeah. So if it was that easy, I don't think they would be willing to risk their lives for it. Right?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
Yeah.
Cannot be a god and was in the belly of a woman. Yes, this cannot be a god, which is meant to be the all-powerful, all-creative.
Can I put my Christian hat on, because I know how to make stupid.
Please.
I know how to make stupid stuff sound nice. Okay, because when I first was like introduced to Christianity, I was also like, this is freaking insane. These people, Christians, worship something that shits.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are like Muslims. They're worshiping a god. And these people are worshiping something that actually pisses and shits and was born and bleeds. Like, that's insane. That's like so backwards. So it makes, like, I was like, obviously, even if all religions are nonsense, Islam has it, like, is actually worshiping something that seems worthy of worship.
Can I give you the answer as to what, or are you going to give the Christian answer?
I have a good Christian answer.
Okay. Yeah. No. Say. You go first. I want to hear.
Okay. I would say, as a Christian, because later on I was consuming a lot of Christian content. So if I want to play a good Christian, I would say, like, listen, and this is this thing that you're seeing as pathetic and weak is exactly why God is so great in Christianity. Because he will, from his greatness, he is so loving of humans that even though he doesn't have to, he brings himself down to such a pathetic position like a human, because he wants to be so close to you, because he wants to experience life like you. He wants to come down to your level. You know how when you talk to a child, sometimes you take a knee and you come to their level, so you're at the same level at them, so you're not talking down to them from above. That's what Jesus did. He is that great, but he also, in his greatness, decided to bring himself that low.
Yeah, that's definitely the main crux of it. The only thing that I would add, just to make it more robust, again, this is us putting our religious hats on, folks, is that what you would then do is you would then go on to explain that obviously there can be nothing that is, nothing on the level of the supremacy of God, right? Everything falls short of the glory of God. That's what sin is. You sin because you miss the mark of God's standards, right? The issue is that all of us innately are sinners. And the only thing that could possibly bring us closer to God is God himself coming down to be like us. That's and that's how great God is. And see, that's why the Muslims have it so wrong, and they'll be tortured in hell forever, is because they don't accept this baby that poops. But But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's obviously nonsense, but like you can play this game both ways.
Exactly.
And they just, it just cracks me up that Mohammed Hijab will spend 10 minutes doing these backflips, but then says something like that and doesn't realize it's like, dude, you could do the exact same backflips for your stuff and just get to this. Baby.
Yeah.
It's the exact same.
The point we're trying to make here is that if Mohammed Hijab is playing the game, because he's not playing right now when he's saying like this is like easy, more clear, people are relating to it, right? So you're not playing the what makes more sense game. You're playing the what sounds better game. And we could do that with anything. You know, I could make any religion sound amazing if you give me enough time and imagination and creative writing skills, right? So like, oh, our religion is better because people love it and it's, you know, people are feeling, it gives you good feelings. Is that your metric? You know, we just did that with Christianity right now.
Right. It's better to...
And that's,
No, go ahead, finish.
No, I was just like, and that's pure nonsense. And we can we could make pure nonsense sound good if we wanted to. But yeah,
exactly, because all of our reasonings are after the fact. The reasonings should come from the beginning, folks. If you wait till you see the results and then go, oh yes, but see, this is why the blah blah. It's like, nah, bro, you don't get to do that. That's cheap. That's you not actually understanding what's going on. You just want to co-opt it, man. Like, yeah,
exactly.
But one day, maybe you and I should come on and we should do a Muslim versus Christian debate and see how much nonsense we can come up with.
We should switch. I will be the Christian. You will be the Muslim.
We'll talk about this. This sounds good. I love this.
I will beat you. I will beat you.
Clearly, you don't know the strength of Islam, Armin. I mean, come on.
You know how I would beat you? Because I have spent more time.
You do know all the arguments against
with the Christian. No. I know. I spend more time knowing Christianity than you knowing Islam. So
for sure. Yeah,
I have years over you. So it's going to be hard for you to know all the best Islamic arguments, but I think I have some of good Christian
Folks, we will talk about this. Armin and I will talk about this behind the scenes. Let us know in the comments below if you like this idea. Susie's on board. Pragmatics on board. All right. Well, let us know for sure in the comments below. I love it.
It's not a fair fight if we switch. I think it would be more of a fair fight if I do Islam and you do Christianity.
But that's okay. I don't care if it's a fair fight. We're just doing it for fun. Screw it. Like, if we do that afterwards, somebody's like, you know what? Since you said all that, SR, like, really am thinking about becoming a Muslim. I'd be like, you gotta be kidding me, bro.
No, you should be proud. Like, look at this. I'm so good in rhetoric. I can make people believe in nonsense. People are like okay, let's go.
Great thing. This is the thing. You have to ask yourself as a Christian, you say you're a Christian, whether you believe in this thing or not. Now go ahead and watch those debates because then you can see what the other side says. You don't need to create a panel in your own show to talk about religious matters. You can watch religious debates, of which there are many on the online space. That's the first thing. The second thing is, because of this fact, whatever opinion you're going to give, Pearly, with all due respect to you, right? Although I have to say, as caveat, we agree with some of your opinions, no problem. I say that openly. Agree with some of your opinions. But whatever opinion you're going to give is going to be a subjective value judgment. Once again, from whence do you derive or extrapolate your morality? Where'd you get it from? What paradigm are you speaking from? Are you speaking from a wealth of great experience as a woman in her older age?
You know how this obsession over objective morality is like, if you don't have objective morality, you can't have morality at all. It's almost as if saying, like, do we have an objective standard for what we consider purple and what we consider blue?
No.
Is there something beyond our agreements, our social, construct over what we call blue and what we call purple? We don't, right?
No.
But it works.
Yeah.
The fact that we have a definition for what's blue and what's purple, it's doing its job. So it doesn't need to be objective for it to be useful. As long as we have an understanding, it doesn't even have to have a very, very clear line exactly, but we are generally in the same, like secular rarity. I think me and you agree that randomly punching somebody in the face, I think if people had to guess, if me and you would have a disagreement over that, just like walking somebody, we don't know a person, they come to us, and we just go, wham, punch him in the face. I think if people had to guess, would they agree that me and you are on the same page on this, that that's a bad thing?
Yeah, I really do think so. I think people that don't even really know us would probably be like, two seemingly intelligent people that aren't actively trying to kill a bunch of people. Yeah, they probably don't go around punching people in the face. Yeah.
No. So we have a general understanding, and there's parts that we might disagree, okay? But given the intentions that we have defined, we could also talk about that. It's working. Moral systems that are not based on divine command theory, they're working. They're making the world a better place. So you could keep philosophizing about, well, you have ours work because it's objective based on God's commands and yours is not. Or, to quote a biblical verse, you could judge them by the fruits of their labor.
Ooh.
Right? Yeah. You can see the ones that we have is making the world better. Our moral standards is making the world better. Yours is keeping us back. Yours is keeping us having people trying to justify screwing 9-year-olds.
Right.
Ours is not doing that.
Yeah, so, and that and that's a big point. Again, so this is one of the things that when it comes to these philosophical understandings, right, is what you have to judge at the end of the day is the commitments that you will have to carry in your baggage down the line. If you accept that this Allah thing is real and that's where all of morality comes from, well, you have to accept all of the crap down the line. Whereas somebody who's non-religious doesn't have that baggage coming along with it. Now, you can argue that I don't have a foundation, but we're actually in the same boat. None of us have an answer to hard solipsism. We have to move on because of the commitments that we will have to deal with later on if we accept that we're the only mind. If we accept that as our foundation, further on down the line, we will see an insane amount of problems. This is what the hardcore I love Islam, that is the problem that they have. The same thing is true for the hardcore Christian, the hardcore Jew, the hardcore Hindu. These commitments will ultimately make you later on have to accept atrocious things that you don't accept anywhere else in your system. That's a problem with your system. You can say, I don't have a foundation. You and I have the exact foundation, existence. You just take an extra step and add on magic.
Perfectly said.
Years, and she's had such long years of marriage. You're a 26-year-old volleyball player. I mean, with all due respect, like
okay, I know this sound. I know this sounds petty. Okay,
it's weird.
But to be fair to Mohammed Hijab, he's using JustPearlyThings' own standards against her, right? So normally, I wouldn't go point out that lady, you are like. Let's see what she said. He said,
as a woman in her older years, and she's had such long years of marriage. You're a 26-year-old volleyball player. I mean, with all due respect, like, what are you going to bring to the table about intersexual dynamics that the world doesn't know and that hasn't experienced in the first place, and that traditions haven't spoken about? So the point.
So he's not making the exact same point that I thought he was going to make. But the point that I thought he might make was JustPearlyThings. I saw this in with Susanna in this other show, Abba and Peach, and they were pointing out that she is single, older age, not a virgin, right? And she's like not married yet. And based on what she is preaching, she is a low value woman.
I see what you're saying, because she's in that manosphere space and that. Okay. Yeah. I see that. Okay.
Not just because she's in there, not because she's in that space. She literally says that.
Well, right. That's her arguments. Yeah. Right. Yes. Right. That's what I meant. Yeah. Okay.
And she also, based on her standards, also only losers will go with women who are like that.
I see.
So eventually, when she gets married, she was already admitting that she's marrying a loser.
Okay. Your point, what you're saying here, Armin, if that's what Mohammed Hijab was saying, I would accept that point, because that's not what he said, right? It isn't what he ended up doing. But if that, what you just laid out for me, I think that's fair. That's a fair critique, because it's saying, you said XYZ equals good. Well, you're none of those. So you can't say that you're.
I mean, I don't. Right. I'm not a person to bring a woman's sex history and their career.
Oh, right. We don't agree with those criteria. Yeah.
But I'm only using that on her because she's the one that says that's the metric that she uses to judge other women and men. So I'm like, okay,
and again, this isn't even still what Mohammed is saying here. Your argument was better. He just basically made it. He started to go down that route and then just ended with, but you're a woman who's not married, and a young one, so you probably don't matter that much anyway.
No, I don't know why the volleyball playing also. People are confusing. Like Kenny's confused about the volleyball thing.
I'll just say this. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, because I've consumed a lot of people who are advocating for traditional lifestyles, and playing volleyball doesn't even the most conservative people I follow, they don't say like, oh yeah, you can't play volleyball.
No,
they say
I've never heard.
I've never heard that. They do say stay home and don't go to work and raise the kids.
So I guess that would conflict with playing volleyball.
But I think even the most conservative men I've met, even red pill people, if the woman wants to play volleyball, even they were like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, I don't know. So
it's just weird. Like, it's just weird that he decided to pick out that one point, I guess. I don't know.
Gasian American saying, thank you so much for the super chat. Gasian American saying, why are Abrahamics obsessed with divine command theory? As a pagan, this is quite alien to my mindset. You pagans have I don't know what you guys are thinking. You're what do pagans, I don't know what their moral system is. I mean,
it's all over the place. It kind of depends, because there's so much when you talk about pagans, like there's just so much under that umbrella. You have to
he's mostly talking about Eastern religion.
Right. Well, and that's just because I think in part that's just because like it just is something that they do, and they have
it is divine command. Okay, no, you're doing Cajun American. That's also when they say that's divine command theory. Just because you don't have a god, that doesn't mean you don't have divine command theory. Technically, you have good. You have karma. That's basically a copy of divine. That is divine command theory. I know you gave us a super chat, but I'm not going to let you get away with that.
I don't know. That's an interesting thought though, because it's hard to know for sure. If you're saying karma is something that is like a conscious agent, then I would say, that counts. But if you're saying karma is just like a more or less like an action reaction type thing, like,
okay,
I don't know.
Yeah, one idea. I know that it depends on the pagan, but I know which pagan Gasian American likes to describe Eastern religions as pagan is because it's the negative word that like people with Abrahamic mindset would associate with them. So he's like going with the negative word that
he thinks it's fun.
But we know he's talking about mostly Eastern religions. But but karma in general, because as I say, it's divine command theory, because we have it in their scripture about what's a good thing and what's a bad thing. So it's you have it in scripture written down that this is bad, and this is good. This will get you closer to enlightenment, and this will get you farther away from enlightenment. That is divine command theory.
Yeah, I could see that argument. Okay.
All right, let's continue.
Is that if you want to have credibility, I'm being serious here. If you want to have credibility on a topic like this, which relates to the family and domesticity of a woman or a man or whatever it may be, you need to have a paradigm which you're operating from. Otherwise, it's just opinion. And yes, you'll get somewhere with an opinion. You'll get some views and some likes. But at the end of the day, it's not solid enough to live your life with it. And one isn't complete.
I mean, it's an agreement. Okay. It's not, how is that not solid enough? We made countries based on agreements. The entire concept of a country is an agreement. It's a social construct. Borders are social construct. Companies are social construct. I mean, morality is a social construct, and it's a good one. It's working. I mean, you're like, oh, it's not solid enough. Okay. I don't know if you have a mortgage or you pay rent. Okay. But tell that to somebody who's paying rent. Tell them that, you know what? Stop paying your rent. This is just not solid enough. You have an
subjective.
Agreement. You guys just made it. It's subjective. There's no objective thing within the universe that makes this house the property of the owner. It could be yours, right? You guys have an agreement that it's his house and you're paying rent to him, but these are just man-made concepts. Just don't pay rent and stay there. It's not as solid as if it was written within the fabric of the universe. Imagine when it was written, like if you go into the quantum realm, there was something that made this house inherently yours. That's not there. These are just things that we have agreed upon. So don't pay your rent. See how that will work out for you, right? See what happens. You will end up sleeping in the streets. In the very same sense, yes, our moral standards are not objective. They're not written within the fabric of the universe. We humans made it up. But look at what it has accomplished. You should be impressed with us humans. Instead of being like, this is man-made, so why should I follow it? You should be like, this is man-made. Amazing. How did you come up with this? How did you go after so many years of trial and error? You guys have come up with standards that has made the world such a better place. I'm impressed. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And it's I think one of the things that's so nonsensical oftentimes when they're talking about an objective morality or whatever, right, is that tell me if you think this is totally off base, Armin, but more and more as I hear about moral systems, I am now leaning more towards the side of everybody is actually using the system of well-being. Most systems are just applying it poorly. Everybody at the end, because the reason that you should follow Islam is because it benefits you and it doesn't harm you. And so everybody's using the system, and that's the closest damn thing we've got. Now, at the end of the day, it's still subjective, but that's way better, than anything else.
So that's exactly the point. There are two types of people. People who admit that they're using a utilitarian system to figure out what's right and wrong, and people who are using a utilitarian system to figure out what's right and wrong, but they don't admit that they're using it or they don't know it. Right. That's the only two options. At the end of the day, everybody who has any other moral system, if you keep asking them, well, why? Well, why? Well, why? At the end of the day, at the end of those questions, you end up getting to well-being. There's no way out of this.
So I really think that, man. I really, really do. So
yes. Even if there was a God, even if there is an afterlife, even if Allah is real and there's heaven and hell, at the end of the day, if I keep asking you, well, why is this a good thing to do? Why should we do this? You will end up, either you will like, okay, because this will get you to heaven. Okay, heaven, you're trying to increase your well-being. Or if you're one of those religious people like, well, actually, I don't care about heaven or hell. I just want to do it because I love Allah, and Allah, I will do what Allah gives me, even if that takes me to hell. Okay, then that's what you want. You want to be submitting to Allah. So it is your desire. So you're increasing your well-being because you are doing what you desire. It ends up always being increasing well-being. Always.
That's what I think, man. That's really what I think. So I don't know. Thank you.
And integrous and deriving of their self-worth through likes and shares and views online.
Wait, go back just a few seconds. I just want to make sure, because if he's criticizing JustPearly for like wanting the likes and stuff, it's like, come on, bro. Like, kettle meat pot. Like, come on. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Wait, is One Eyed Heathen trying to post a link here? Because you can if you want. One Eyed Heathen, if you want to.
As a non-mod, the link might not show.
Oh,
okay. You would have to make them a mod. So.
Okay, well, One Eyed Heathen, maybe like send it. I don't know what this is. Okay, but I will think. But let's finish the show first. Let's finish.
We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
Deriving of their self-worth through likes and shares and views online. I've got it myself. I've got many likes, many views, many shares, many subscribers.
Wait, that's projection. What has that got to do with anything? But
I know.
Like you're doing the things that you're claiming other people do.
Right.
You're like wait, hold on. Did I get this right? Let me listen to this before I before I shit on it.
That's why
it's
I
not
wanted
solid enough to live your.
I don't know how we got from morality not being objective to people getting their values.
Oh, I don't think there was a good segue. No, I don't think there was a good segue.
And then all of a sudden, other people get their values from likes and shares and subscribers. Other people, which I have to happen to have a lot of that. Like they're getting their sense of self-worth from that. But reminder to the audience, I have a lot of that. Okay, that's projection. Isn't that projection?
Some views and some likes, but at the end of the day, it's not solid enough to live your life with it.
Okay,
and one isn't complete and integrous. And deriving of their self-worth through likes and shares and views online. I've got it myself. I've got many likes, many views, many shares, many subscribers.
Seems like you're getting your sense of self-worth from that, Mohammed Hijab. Doesn't that seem like it seems like you bragging about it to me suggests that maybe you're the one who's doing that here.
And it's weird too, because like I would say that, and I don't know, maybe the people in our audience don't agree with this, but I would say that you and I don't give off this air that, you know, the likes and the subscribers and stuff is what gives us our sense of self-worth. Like we're very confident and we have a bunch of other things going on. We love doing this. We love the likes and yes. Oh my gosh, we love it. It's great. You know, when people out there enjoy it, but like, you're never going to hear me and Armin being like, oh, he just wants the likes because it makes him feel good. It's like, dude, that's why we're all on YouTube. Like, I have no idea why you would even say that, bro. That's just like, that's like the singer of a rock band looking at another rock band and just being like, they just derive their sense of self-worth from all those albums that they sell and all the tickets that they sell, you know? And when they go on world tour, it's like, yeah, of course, man. Yeah, of course. He's got 1.5 million followers. Like, stupid.
I can tell you, I don't derive my self-worth from this, Pearly. It's not the thing that.
Oh yeah. I mean, what is it? Yeah, sure, Mohammed Hijab. But why are you bringing this up? Why does this even happen?
He just really wanted you to know, Armin, because he doesn't, because he's like so confident in his self-worth that he just had to let you know for sure that he doesn't get his self-worth from clicks.
You don't get it. You don't get your self-worth from likes and shares and subscribers so much that you had to bring it up in a conversation that had nothing to do with that. That's how much you don't care about it. Okay.
Really confident.
Got it.
Really confident.
That's made me feel very strong and very feel anchored and very like a sense of purpose of life. I have a purpose of life. The thing that's given me this purpose of life is the belief in one God and the living by Islam. I invite you to Islam, Pearly, because when you become a Muslim, then you can live by a paradigm. Then you can be impressed with a proper system that will facilitate for you a proper relationship with God. I will tell you the proper relationship that should be done in the family home. Look into it, watch the debates, read the Quran, and be respectful next time when you speak to the Muslim people. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The Prophet Muhammad.
Oh my God.
I really liked that. I'm sure he was trying to make a different point, but I just like the way he said that. He was like, come to Islam, then you can truly be impressed with a moral system. It's like, wait, are you saying that non-Muslims aren't impressed with any moral system? Like, I don't understand what you're saying for that. Like, does somehow converting to Islam just make you enjoy things better? Or like,
yes,
like,
because no, it's actually the case. It's like it's actually the claim. The claim is that just accept Islam first, things will start making sense.
Things will get better. Of course. Yeah, of course. The Christians do that
so
too.
I know it's
I
know it's completely insane to
very
think about
silly.
like screwing a 9-year-old is okay.
Right.
Okay. But all you have to know right now, forget about that. All you have to know about, just accept Allah, just focus on why Allah is God and Muhammad is the last prophet and the Quran is the word of God. After that, once you're in, you will see everything from a new perspective, and that will start making sense to you. Yeah. So you just have to come in first. By the way, once you come in, you can never leave.
You know, you almost had me.
Actually,
you almost had me.
Yeah.
You almost had me.
Actually, that's a very good. He's right about this, because if you come in and then you can't leave, then you better convince yourself that you have made the right decision.
Oh my
or else
gosh,
you've made a terrible mistake.
That's horrible.
Made a terrible mistake.
That's horrible. Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah. So somehow child marriage has to make sense, or else you made the biggest mistake of your life.
Honestly, that's kind of victim blaming, isn't it? Like it's like it's straight up like you. Hey man, this is your fault. That's the reason. This is your fault. You chose Islam, bro. Like that's man. That's really
which one would you rather? Which one do you rather do? Do you want to accept the fact that you made the biggest mistake, or somehow maybe child marriage is not as bad as I thought?
Yeah, I know. That's crazy when you put it like that. It's like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
no, I see this.
I mean,
now.
I think that's the prison Andrew Tate is in right now. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think Andrew
so.
Tate can. Yeah,
I think so. I think he's probably regretting it pretty hard right now, but
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
By the way, Kenny gave us a super chat. Thank you so much. 10 euro super chat just to say, saw Armin on Atheist Experience again. You are getting really good at that. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Kenny.
You're doing great, buddy.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. And I'm going to be going there again. Yeah. Thank you.
Nice.
Anyways, guys, make sure you like the show, because it's important that more people see this nonsense and see how to. A lot of people know that what Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawa and Smile to Jannah are saying is just absolutely wrong, and then Haikachu and all those people. Okay, but they might not necessarily see what is the best way to respond to it, and also to make fun of it. It's important to make fun of it, because there's nothing that disarms this amount of nonsense more than ridicule. So ridicule is important. You have to ridicule this type of nonsense, right? So if you want more people to be exposed, even if you're exposed to a little bit, you will get enough. You will be equipped with the tools to be able to address it when you see it. So please like this video and leave a comment so that YouTube recommends this show, because this kind of shows doesn't get recommended to people because there's so many words that we use that are controversial. So the algorithm is working against us. Okay, I know a lot of other YouTube channels are very, very careful, and rightfully so, about the words that they use, and that's why it's difficult for us to grow. So we really do need you guys to leave a comment after the show and like. it's a lot of support. It fights back against the negative parts of the algorithm. So please go ahead and do that. People are saying great stream. Thank you all. Thank you guys. Great show, boys.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Susie
I'll tell you,
that's
where I derive my self-worth from. When Susanna comments and tells us that we did a good job. You guys have no idea how good that makes me feel. Yeah, right.
Actually, you're right. That is.
I know. I'm laughing about it, but I'm totally serious. Like, definitely, it's like, oh man, okay, cool. Yeah. You know, I wasn't sure, so that you said it. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. See you again next week, same time with Secular Rarity, and doing another, Muslim video, Islamic channel. Yeah.
I think I should get to pick this time.
Fine. It is. I mean, it is a republic. I unfortunately we have the republic in the name, so I didn't want to bring attention to that, but okay, fine. Next show. Actually, I like that. See, I'm gonna see what you bring up. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, guys. Next show, guys subscribe because we have no idea what Secular Rarity. This is going to be the first time that Secular Rarity is going to pick it. It could be anything. So subscribe so we watch next week, same time. We're gonna see what he has picked. Okay, cool. Bye, guys.